So getting a loan for a bank can be to buy a house. First, what you need to do is to have 3 to 5 years before you actually buy, and it's to develop your credit. You have needs to save and set up your savings account. That way you can have a deposit. Once you have the deposit, you have to have a job for 1 to 2 years, and you have to pay your bills on time. It influences your credit, especially credit cards. Once everything's done, you can go to the bank, sit down with them, and have the paperwork filled out. It takes a little bit of patience. There's a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of information, details that need to be recorded. They will ask you many, many questions about your job history, for example, how long you've worked, what's your income, and you have to provide a lot of proof. They ask you how much is in savings, if you owe anything, and what your CPR or CRP is. They're very strict. And if there's something wrong, they will catch it. They will, suppose if you have a fee, they'll catch it and you'll have to explain why you got a late fee. You have to qualify for a loan. You have to get pre-approval. And once they decide to approve, for example, $150,000, you can go finally search for a house. But it can't be over 150. You have to stay within your limit, that budget. And once you let the bank know that you like it, they will check the bank, and it's called a home appraisal. They go and make sure that it's worth, the house is selling for the price that it's actually worth. If it's not, they won't approve it. For example, if the house is worth $100,000, they'll go ahead and let you buy the house for $150,000. In 2 years, you realize, oh, broke, then you become broke, then they cause a foreclosure, and that's when they take the bank will take the house back and sell it for something else. And if they only sell it for $100,000, then unfortunately they lose money. So it has to be worth it. Once you get your approval, you can again go back to the bank and you have to read through all the contracts, and it's a lot of work. You have to have work history, you have to have credit, and have a decent savings. There's in-house interest. There's 3. There's a fixed mortgage. Means that it will just continue. The 5% interest rate will continue for 15 to 30 years. Variable means 50%, and then it goes to, or 5%, changes to 7%, changes, it will go up and down, and you'll have to make payments, and then those payments will go up and down, and it will fluctuate. Also a loan. It's a small interest rate. Every year, you have to pay a little bit more. It's called kind of like a balloon. And I'm not, each has its own benefits, but the insurance or interest is the most important. But before it's done, there's one more thing. You have to have a closing. The whole process could take 8 to 12 weeks, so it takes a little bit of patience. And on closing day, you get to sit down and more paperwork that you have to read through and sign. And you have to understand what you're reading and all the fine print. It's really important to understand what exactly is your responsibility when buying. You might think and make some assumptions, but that's why it's important to make sure you read it. And once that's all signed, the contracts are all ready to go, and everything's been read, you get the keys, and there you go. That's the process for getting a home mortgage.